The most dangerous predators in the zodiac don't roar like lions or strike like scorpions. They smile like angels while systematically dismantling your sense of reality, one calculated move at a time. Behind those sparkling eyes and infectious enthusiasm lies a master manipulator whose weapons are so refined, so perfectly disguised as passion and leadership that their victims often thank them for the very treatment that destroys their peace of mind. Most people see Aries individuals as the brave warriors of astrology, the passionate pioneers who charge fearlessly into battle for what they believe in. Society celebrates their confidence, admires their natural leadership abilities, and envies their seemingly endless energy and enthusiasm. But what happens when that same fiery determination gets turned inward, focused not on conquering external challenges, but on conquering the people closest to them? What occurs when their legendary charisma becomes a weapon wielded with surgical precision against unsuspecting hearts and minds? The truth about Aries manipulation is far more disturbing than most astrologers dare to acknowledge. These individuals don't just influence others through direct confrontation or obvious aggression. Instead, they've developed an intricate web of psychological tactics that exploit the deepest human needs for connection, security, and belonging. They understand instinctively that the most effective control comes not from force, but from making their targets believe that submission is their own idea, that dependency feels like love, and that isolation seems like protection. Consider the Aries colleague who somehow always manages to get assigned to the projects they want, never through obvious backstabbing or office politics, but through a series of seemingly innocent conversations and suggestions that somehow result in others voluntarily stepping aside. Think about the Aries friend who never directly tells you not to pursue certain opportunities, but who always happens to share a story about someone who made similar choices and ended up miserable, leaving you to draw your own conclusions about the wisdom of your plans. The manipulation begins so subtly that you might mistake it for genuine care and concern. They remember every detail about your insecurities, your dreams, your fears, and your past disappointments. This information becomes their arsenal, deployed strategically whenever they need to redirect your thoughts, feelings, or decisions in directions that serve their purposes. They've learned to package their control tactics as support, their possessiveness as protection, and their need for dominance as natural leadership. What makes Aries manipulation particularly devastating is how it masquerades as the very qualities we're taught to admire in relationships. Their intensity feels like passion, their possessiveness seems like commitment, their need to make decisions feels like strength and reliability. By the time you realize that your autonomy has been systematically eroded, you're so emotionally and psychologically dependent on their approval that breaking free seems impossible. Welcome to Secret of the Zodiac, where we strip away the comfortable myths and reveal the shadow truths that other channels won't dare to discuss. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button, because what we're about to explore will fundamentally change how you view the supposedly innocent ram sign forever. The 12 manipulation tactics we're about to reveal operate so seamlessly that you might currently be experiencing them without even realizing it. But understanding starts with recognizing the first and perhaps most dangerous weapon in their arsenal. The first reason: they use their natural charisma to get what they want instantly. The moment an Aries decides they want something from you, you become the unwitting participant in a performance so masterfully crafted that Hollywood actors would weep with envy. These individuals possess an almost supernatural ability to transform themselves into exactly the person you need them to be in that specific moment. If you're feeling lonely, they become the most attentive companion you've ever encountered. If you're struggling with confidence, they suddenly see potential in you that nobody else has ever recognized. If you're craving excitement in your mundane routine, they appear like a shooting star, promising adventures you never dared to imagine. But here's where the manipulation becomes truly sinister. This isn't genuine empathy or authentic connection you're experiencing. This is calculated emotional engineering designed to create dependency and compliance. Aries manipulators spend considerable time studying their targets, learning their emotional triggers, their unfulfilled desires, and their deepest insecurities. They file away every casual comment about your difficult childhood, every mention of your career frustrations, every hint about your romantic disappointments. This information becomes their roadmap for designing the perfect version of themselves to capture your trust and admiration. Watch how they operate in group settings, and you'll begin to see the pattern. They don't treat everyone the same way because they are not being authentic. They are being strategic. With the insecure friend, they become the confidence booster, constantly praising and encouraging. With the successful colleague, they become the humble student, eager to learn from their wisdom. With the lonely neighbor, they become the caring friend who always has time to listen. Each interaction is carefully calibrated to create maximum emotional impact and generate the specific response they need from each individual. The most devastating aspect of this charismatic manipulation is how it makes you feel chosen and special. They have an uncanny ability to make you believe that you're different from everyone else in their life, that you share a unique connection that transcends their relationships with others. They'll share secrets that make you feel trusted, reveal vulnerabilities that make you feel protective, and express appreciation in ways that make you feel irreplaceable. This artificial intimacy creates powerful emotional bonds that they can exploit whenever they need favors, support, or compliance with their agenda. The second reason, their impulsive nature makes them expert emotional manipulators. While most people view Aries' impulsiveness as a charming personality quirk or evidence of their passionate nature, skilled Aries manipulators have weaponized this trait into one of their most effective psychological tools. They've learned to manufacture artificial urgency that pressures others into making decisions before they have time to think clearly, consult with trusted advisors, or consider potential consequences. This isn't genuine spontaneity you're witnessing. This is calculated emotional coercion disguised as enthusiasm and passion. The manipulation typically begins with them presenting you with what appears to be an incredible opportunity that requires immediate action. They'll burst into your life with news about a limited time offer, an exclusive chance that won't come again, or a situation that demands an instant decision. Their energy becomes infectious as they paint vivid pictures of the amazing benefits you'll receive if you act quickly, while simultaneously describing the terrible regret you'll experience if you hesitate even slightly. They understand that people make different decisions when they're emotionally activated versus when they have time for rational analysis. Consider how they handle requests for money, commitments of time, or changes in plans. Instead of giving you space to consider their request thoughtfully, they create elaborate scenarios about why waiting would be disastrous. They might claim that the rental car agency only has one vehicle left and it'll be gone within the hour, that the investment opportunity closes at midnight, or that the concert tickets are selling so fast that even a delay until tomorrow could mean missing out entirely. They've learned to package their demands as time-sensitive emergencies that require your immediate cooperation. The emotional pressure they apply during these manufactured crises is particularly sophisticated. They'll express disappointment that you don't share their excitement, suggest that your hesitation reveals a lack of trust in their judgment, or imply that truly supportive friends wouldn't need time to consider such obvious opportunities. They've mastered the art of making your natural caution feel like personal betrayal, your desire for reflection seem like evidence of weakness or indecision, and your attempts to involve others in the decision-making process appear to be signs that you don't value their opinion or expertise. What makes this manipulation especially effective is how they use their own apparent impulsiveness as social proof that quick decisions are not only acceptable, but actually superior to careful deliberation. They'll share stories about all the amazing opportunities they've seized by acting quickly, while conveniently omitting the disasters that resulted from their hasty choices. They present themselves as living proof that successful people make rapid decisions, while suggesting that people who need time to think are destined for mediocrity and missed opportunities. The third reason, they play the victim when their aggressive behavior backfires. Perhaps the most psychologically damaging manipulation tactic employed by Aries individuals is their remarkable ability to transform from aggressor to victim in the span of a single conversation. These master manipulators have perfected the art of emotional shape-shifting, allowing them to escape accountability for their harmful behavior while simultaneously making their victims feel guilty for defending themselves or pointing out the obvious problems with their actions. The process typically unfolds in predictable stages. First, they engage in behavior that is clearly aggressive, controlling, or unreasonable. They might yell at you for something trivial, make unrealistic demands about your time or attention, criticize your choices in harsh and personal terms, or attempt to control aspects of your life that are clearly none of their business. When you finally gather the courage to confront them about their behavior, to set boundaries, or to express how their actions have affected you, they immediately activate their victim transformation sequence. The shift is so dramatic and convincing that you might question your own memory of what just transpired. Suddenly, their voice becomes smaller and more vulnerable. Their confident posture crumbles into something that appears fragile and hurt. They might develop tears that seem to come from nowhere, or adopt facial expressions that suggest they're experiencing profound emotional pain. Most importantly, they completely reframe the narrative so that they become the injured party in the situation they created. They've developed an arsenal of victim phrases that are designed to make you feel like a monster for defending yourself. They'll say things like, "I can't believe you would attack me when I'm already feeling so vulnerable," or "I was only trying to help you, and this is how you repay my concern." They might claim that your perfectly reasonable boundaries are evidence that you don't care about their feelings, that your attempts to discuss their behavior prove you're trying to hurt them intentionally, or that your desire for mutual respect in the relationship shows you don't appreciate their passionate nature. The manipulation becomes even more sophisticated when they start recruiting others to validate their victim status. They'll share carefully edited versions of your conflicts with mutual friends, family members, or colleagues, painting themselves as the long-suffering party who has been trying so hard to make the relationship work despite your unreasonable demands and cruel treatment. They become skilled at highlighting their own efforts and sacrifices while minimizing or completely omitting their aggressive behavior, creating a narrative where they appear to be saints dealing with an ungrateful and difficult person. This victim-playing manipulation is particularly devastating because it attacks your sense of reality and your confidence in your own perceptions. When someone can make you feel guilty for protecting yourself from their harmful behavior, they've achieved a level of psychological control that can take years to recognize and overcome. You begin to doubt your own judgment, question whether you're being too sensitive or unreasonable, and eventually start apologizing for setting boundaries or expressing your legitimate needs in the relationship. The long-term effects of this manipulation extend far beyond the specific incidents where it occurs. Victims often develop a pattern of accepting inappropriate treatment because they've been conditioned to believe that defending themselves makes them the bad person in the relationship. They learn to absorb abuse silently rather than risk being painted as the aggressor for speaking up about their mistreatment. The fourth reason, they use their protective instincts to justify controlling behavior. The transformation from protector to controller happens so gradually that victims rarely notice until they are completely trapped in a web of restrictions disguised as caring gestures. Aries manipulators have mastered the art of packaging their need for dominance as genuine concern for your safety, happiness, and well-being. They understand that people naturally appreciate when others care about their welfare, so they exploit this universal human need to justify increasingly intrusive and controlling behavior that serves only their desire for power over your choices. Initially, their protective instincts might seem genuinely sweet and thoughtful. They'll offer to walk you home after dark, suggest that you shouldn't trust certain people who seem suspicious, or express concern when you're considering decisions that carry potential risks. These early interventions feel like evidence of their caring nature and their investment in your relationship. However, what starts as occasional gentle guidance slowly escalates into systematic control over every aspect of your life, from your career choices to your social connections to your daily routines. The manipulation becomes more apparent when you examine the specific areas where they choose to express their protective concerns. Interestingly, they rarely worry about risks that don't threaten their control over you. They might be intensely concerned about a friend who encourages your independence, but completely unconcerned about genuinely dangerous situations that don't affect their relationship with you. They'll discourage you from pursuing job opportunities that would require you to relocate or work different hours, claiming they're worried about your career stability while simultaneously pushing you toward choices that increase your dependence on them for emotional or financial support. Their protective language is carefully crafted to make resistance feel selfish and ungrateful. They'll say things like, "I'm only looking out for you because I love you," or "I've seen what happens to people who make these kinds of mistakes, and I don't want you to get hurt." They position themselves as the wise advisor who has your best interests at heart, making it emotionally difficult to reject their guidance without seeming foolish or reckless. They've learned to present their controlling demands as gifts of wisdom and experience that you should appreciate rather than resist. The most insidious aspect of this manipulation is how they gradually train you to seek their approval before making any significant decisions. They create a dynamic where you begin to second-guess your own judgment, automatically considering how they might react to your choices before you even fully form your own opinions. They reward you with praise and affection when you consult them before acting, while expressing hurt, disappointment, or concern when you make independent decisions that don't align with their preferences. The fifth reason, their competitive spirit turns every relationship into a power game. For Aries manipulators, the concept of mutual respect and equal partnership is fundamentally foreign because they view every relationship through the lens of competition and dominance. These individuals cannot psychologically tolerate situations where they are not clearly in the superior position, so they systematically transform even the most intimate connections into complex power struggles where someone must always be winning and someone must always be losing. Unfortunately, they've decided that they deserve to be the permanent victors in these manufactured competitions. The competitive manipulation begins with seemingly harmless one-upmanship in conversations and social situations. When you share exciting news about a promotion, they immediately respond with their own more impressive achievement. When you mention feeling tired, they detail how much more exhausted they are due to their more demanding schedule. When you express frustration about a problem, they quickly shift the conversation to their more serious difficulties that require more attention and sympathy. These interactions might seem like normal social dynamics, but they are actually systematic attempts to establish their superior status in the relationship hierarchy. As the manipulation progresses, they begin to keep detailed mental scorecards of every interaction, favor, and exchange in your relationship. They remember precisely how much money they've spent on gifts, how many times they've provided emotional support, how often they've compromised their preferences to accommodate your needs, and how frequently they've gone out of their way to help you with various problems. These mental tallies become weapons they deploy whenever you fail to comply with their expectations, or when you dare to make requests that they find inconvenient or threatening to their control. The scorekeeping manipulation becomes particularly obvious during conflicts or disagreements. Instead of addressing the specific issue at hand, they immediately begin reciting their accumulated relationship credits, making it clear that your past acceptance of their generosity obligates you to submit to their current demands. They'll say things like, "After everything I've done for you, I can't believe you're fighting me on this," or "I've sacrificed so much for this relationship, and you can't even do this one thing for me." They weaponize their own kindness and generosity as tools for emotional blackmail. The competitive dynamic extends to their need to be the most important person in your life across all categories. They want to be your primary source of emotional support, your most trusted advisor, your favorite companion for social activities, and your preferred confidant for personal problems. They become threatened when other people fulfill any of these roles effectively, viewing your other relationships as competition for their position, rather than healthy diversification of your social and emotional needs. They might sulk when you seek advice from family members express jealousy when you enjoy time with friends, or find ways to undermine relationships that provide you with perspectives or support that don't align with their agenda. The sixth reason, they exploit their reputation as honest people to hide their scheming. The most diabolical aspect of Aries manipulation lies in how effectively they use their astrological reputation as straightforward, honest individuals to camouflage their sophisticated psychological operations. Society has been conditioned to view Aries as the transparent warriors of the Zodiac, people who wear their hearts on their sleeves and speak their minds without filters or hidden agendas. This cultural assumption provides them with the perfect cover for a manipulation tactics that would be immediately recognizable if employed by signs known for their cunning or strategic thinking. When people think about manipulation and deception in astrology, they typically envision Scorpios with their mysterious schemes, Geminis with their dual nature and silver tongues, or Capricorns with their calculated long-term planning. Aries individuals benefit enormously from being excluded from these suspicious categories because their alleged impulsiveness and directness make them seem incapable of the patience and planning required for sophisticated psychological manipulation. People drop their guard around Aries precisely because they assume that what you see is what you get. This reputation provides Aries manipulators with unprecedented access to their target's trust and vulnerability. People are willing to share their deepest secrets, their greatest fears, and their most cherished dreams with individuals they perceive as honest and straightforward. They assume that someone who appears so transparent and direct would never use personal information strategically or exploit emotional vulnerabilities for personal gain. This misplaced trust gives Aries manipulators detailed blueprints for psychological influence that more obviously cunning signs would have to work much harder to obtain. The honest reputation also allows them to deliver criticism, advice, and demands with minimal resistance because people assume their motivations are pure and their insights are genuine rather than self-serving. When an Aries tells you that your friend is a bad influence, that your career choice is misguided, or that your romantic partner doesn't deserve you, people are inclined to accept these assessments as honest observations rather than strategic attempts to isolate you from sources of support and alternative perspectives that might threaten their control. Perhaps most cunningly, they use their reputation for emotional transparency to hide the calculated nature of their emotional displays. When they cry, people assume the tears are genuine expressions of hurt rather than strategic tools for manipulation. When they express anger, observers interpret it as passionate honesty rather than deliberate intimidation designed to discourage opposition to their demands. When they shower someone with affection and attention, witnesses see authentic enthusiasm rather than tactical love bombing intended to create emotional dependency. The strategic deployment of their honest reputation extends to how they handle confrontations about their behavior. When victims finally gather the courage to point out patterns of manipulation or control, Aries individuals can simply express shock and hurt that anyone would attribute such devious motives to their pure intentions. They position themselves as wounded innocents who have been misunderstood by suspicious minds that are projecting ulterior motives onto their genuine attempts to help and protect the people they care about. Their reputation for straightforwardness makes these denials seem credible to outside observers who cannot imagine that someone so seemingly transparent could be capable of the sophisticated psychological operations being described. This manipulation of their own reputation represents perhaps the most advanced level of their psychological strategy because it turns their victims' attempts to seek help or validation into evidence of paranoia or ingratitude. When someone tries to explain to others how they're being manipulated by an Aries, the response is often disbelief or suggestions that they're overanalyzing innocent behavior from someone who is known for being direct and honest. The seventh reason, they create artificial conflicts to stay in control of situations. The manufactured drama that Aries manipulators weave into their relationships serves a purpose far more sinister than simple attention-seeking or emotional expression. These individuals have discovered that people who are emotionally destabilized, constantly walking on eggshells, and perpetually trying to restore peace are infinitely easier to control than those who feel secure and balanced in their connections. By systematically creating chaos where none previously existed, they ensure that their targets remain in a state of emotional dependency, always seeking their approval and cooperation to return to harmony. The artificial conflict creation begins with seemingly minor provocations that gradually escalate into major emotional explosions. They might start by making subtle, critical comments about your appearance, your choices, or your relationships with others, delivered in a tone that suggests concern rather than malice. When you respond defensively or ask for clarification, they escalate the situation by claiming that you're being oversensitive, that you can't handle honest feedback, or that you're attacking them for trying to help you improve yourself. These manipulative individuals possess an almost supernatural ability to identify the topics and situations that trigger the strongest emotional responses in their targets. They file away information about your past traumas, your current insecurities, and your deepest fears, then strategically deploy references to these sensitive areas whenever they need to destabilize your emotional equilibrium. They might casually mention your ex-partner's name when they want to make you feel insecure, reference your past failures when they need you to doubt your judgment, or bring up your family problems when they want to make you feel vulnerable and in need of their support. The timing of these manufactured conflicts is never accidental. Aries manipulators have learned to create drama during moments when you're feeling confident, independent, or particularly happy with aspects of your life that don't revolve around them. If you've just received good news at work, had a wonderful time with friends, or made progress on personal goals, they'll find ways to start arguments that force you to focus your emotional energy on repairing the relationship rather than celebrating your achievements or building on your momentum. The most insidious aspect of their conflict creation is how they train you to anticipate and prevent their emotional explosions by modifying your own behavior. Over time, you begin to censor your conversations, avoid mentioning certain topics, and carefully monitor your actions to prevent triggering their volatile reactions. You might stop sharing good news because it seems to make them irritable, avoid spending time with friends because it leads to accusations and arguments, or abandon personal interests because they somehow always become sources of conflict in your relationship. The eighth reason, their leadership qualities become tools for domination. The transformation of genuine leadership into psychological domination represents one of the most sophisticated manipulation tactics employed by Aries individuals because it exploits people's natural respect for authority and guidance. These manipulators understand that most people appreciate having someone they can look up to for direction and support, especially during uncertain or challenging times. They systematically position themselves as indispensable advisors and decision makers, gradually expanding their influence until they control virtually every aspect of their targets' lives while maintaining the illusion that they're simply being helpful leaders. The leadership manipulation typically begins during moments when you're facing difficult decisions or feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. They step forward with confidence and apparent wisdom, offering clear solutions and decisive direction that provides immediate relief from your uncertainty and stress. Their initial guidance might be genuinely helpful, demonstrating real insight into your situation and producing positive outcomes that build your trust in their judgment and decision-making abilities. However, what starts as occasional guidance during crisis moments slowly expands into comprehensive life management, where they expect to be consulted about increasingly trivial decisions. They begin expressing opinions about your clothing choices, your meal preferences, your entertainment selections, and your daily routines. They frame these intrusions as natural extensions of their caring leadership, suggesting that people who truly value their wisdom would want their input on all aspects of life rather than limiting it to major decisions. The domination becomes more apparent when you examine what happens during the rare occasions when you make independent choices without consulting them first. Rather than respecting your autonomy and celebrating your confidence, they express hurt that you didn't value their opinion enough to seek their guidance. They might sulk, withdraw their usual support and affection, or find ways to sabotage the outcomes of your independent decisions so they can later point to these failures as evidence that you need their leadership more than you realized. Their leadership manipulation also involves systematically undermining your confidence in your own decision-making abilities. They accomplish this by subtly highlighting every mistake you make while conveniently forgetting their own errors, by expressing doubt about your judgment in front of others, and by sharing stories about people who made similar choices to yours and suffered terrible consequences. Over time, you begin to doubt your own wisdom and rely increasingly on their guidance for even the most basic life decisions. The most damaging aspect of their dominating leadership is how they create artificial dependencies that serve their need for control rather than your need for growth and development. Healthy leaders aim to build confidence and independence in the people they guide, gradually reducing their involvement as others develop their own skills and judgment. Aries manipulators do exactly the opposite, creating systems where you become increasingly dependent on their input, approval, and direction for your sense of security and well-being. The ninth reason: they use guilt trips disguised as passionate declarations. The weaponization of emotion through guilt manipulation represents perhaps the cruelest aspect of Aries' psychological warfare because it exploits the deepest human needs for love, connection, and belonging. These master manipulators have learned to package their demands and expectations as declarations of intense feeling, making it nearly impossible for their targets to refuse compliance without seeming heartless, ungrateful, or incapable of matching their level of emotional investment in the relationship. The guilt-based emotional manipulation typically involves dramatic proclamations about the depth of their feelings, the extent of their sacrifices, and the devastating impact your potential rejection would have on their emotional well-being. They might tell you how much they've given up to be with you, how completely they've restructured their life around your happiness, or how destroyed they would be if you disappointed them by failing to meet their expectations. These declarations are designed to make you feel personally responsible for their emotional state and obligated to prioritize their needs above your own comfort, preferences, or boundaries. Their passionate guilt trips often focus on creating artificial scarcity around their love and attention, suggesting that their intense feelings for you are so rare and precious that losing them would be an irreparable tragedy. They'll say things like, "I've never felt this way about anyone before," or "You mean more to me than anyone else in my life," while simultaneously making it clear that these special feelings are conditional upon your continued compliance with their expectations. The underlying message is that questioning their demands or asserting your own needs would risk losing something incredibly valuable that you'll never find again. The manipulation becomes even more sophisticated when they begin recruiting your own emotions as weapons against your autonomy and judgment. They'll express such apparent vulnerability about their fears of abandonment, their past hurts from previous relationships, or their deep need for security, that you begin to feel protective of their feelings rather than focused on your own needs and boundaries. You start making decisions based on avoiding their emotional pain rather than pursuing your own happiness and growth. Their guilt-based declarations also serve to reframe any resistance or boundary setting as evidence of your inadequacy as a partner, friend, or family member. If you express discomfort with their demands, they respond with expressions of shock and hurt that someone who truly cared about them would hesitate to provide such basic support and understanding. They make your natural need for autonomy and respect seem like selfish cruelty. Your reasonable boundaries appear to be cold rejection, and your attempts at honest communication look like heartless attacks on their vulnerable emotions. The long-term psychological impact of these guilt-based manipulations extends far beyond the specific incidents where they occur. Victims often develop chronic anxiety about disappointing others, lose touch with their own emotional needs and desires, and struggle to distinguish between genuine love and manipulative emotional coercion. They learn to suppress their own feelings and needs to avoid triggering guilt trips, eventually losing connection with their authentic selves in favor of whatever version of themselves generates the least emotional drama and manipulation from the Aries in their life. The 10th reason, their impatience becomes a manipulation tactic to rush decisions. The weaponization of Aries' impatience transforms what appears to be a harmless personality trait into a devastating psychological tool designed to prevent rational thought and careful consideration of important life decisions. These manipulative individuals have discovered that people make fundamentally different choices when they are under pressure versus when they have adequate time for reflection, consultation with trusted advisors, and thorough evaluation of potential consequences. By manufacturing artificial urgency around every significant decision, they ensure that their targets consistently make choices that serve Aries' interests rather than their own long-term well-being. The manipulation typically begins with them presenting opportunities, requests, or demands as if they're operating under severe time constraints that require immediate action. They'll claim that job opportunities will disappear overnight, that investment possibilities are only available for the next few hours, that housing options won't last until tomorrow, or that relationship decisions must be made instantly to avoid devastating consequences. These artificial deadlines create psychological pressure that activates fight or flight responses, flooding your system with stress hormones that impair judgment and critical thinking abilities. Their impatience manipulation extends beyond individual decisions to encompass entire relationship timelines and life transitions. They might pressure you to move in together after only a few weeks of dating, demand exclusive commitment before you've had time to truly know each other, or insist on major financial investments in shared ventures before you've had opportunity to evaluate the wisdom of such partnerships. They frame their rushed timelines as evidence of their intense passion and commitment, making any desire for a more reasonable pace seem like evidence of your lack of enthusiasm or investment in the relationship. The most insidious aspect of their impatience manipulation is how they use social pressure and peer comparison to make your natural desire for thoughtful consideration seem abnormal or dysfunctional. They'll share stories about successful people who made rapid decisions, cite examples of opportunities that others lost by hesitating too long, or express frustration that you don't trust them enough to follow their guidance without extensive deliberation. They systematically reframe prudence as weakness, caution as fear, and consultation with others as evidence that you don't value their opinion or expertise. The 11th reason, they weaponize their loyalty to create emotional debt. The transformation of loyalty from a virtue into a weapon represents one of the most psychologically damaging manipulation tactics employed by Aries individuals because it corrupts the fundamental trust and gratitude that form the foundation of healthy relationships. These manipulators possess remarkable memories when it comes to cataloging every favor they've performed, every sacrifice they've made, and every moment when they've provided support or assistance. This information becomes ammunition they deploy strategically whenever they need to pressure you into compliance with their demands or expectations. Their loyalty weaponization begins during the early stages of relationships when they go out of their way to be helpful, supportive, and generous. They might offer assistance with moving, provide emotional support during difficult times, help with professional networking, or make financial contributions to your goals and projects. These initial gestures appear to be genuine expressions of care and friendship, building deep feelings of gratitude and indebtedness that they will later exploit for their own purposes. The manipulation becomes apparent when you examine the specific timing and context of their generous gestures. Aries manipulators have an uncanny ability to offer help during your most vulnerable moments, when you're feeling overwhelmed, isolated, or uncertain about your ability to handle challenges independently. Their assistance during these crucial times creates powerful emotional bonds and feelings of dependency that they can leverage whenever they need to secure your cooperation with their agenda. The weaponization of their loyalty becomes most obvious during conflicts or situations where you attempt to assert boundaries, express disagreement, or make independent decisions that don't align with their preferences. Instead of addressing the specific issue at hand, they immediately begin reciting their accumulated relationship credits, making it clear that your past acceptance of their generosity obligates you to submit to their current demands. They'll say things like, "After everything I've done for you, I can't believe you're questioning my judgment," or "I've been so loyal and supportive, and this is how you repay me." The 12th reason. Their fear of being ignored drives them to create dependency. The final and perhaps most devastating manipulation tactic employed by Aries individuals stems from their profound terror of becoming irrelevant or unnecessary in the lives of people they've chosen to control. This deep-seated fear of abandonment drives them to systematically undermine their target's confidence, independence, and self-reliance, creating artificial dependencies that ensure their continued central role in every aspect of their victims' lives. They become psychological architects, carefully constructing emotional and practical situations where their targets cannot imagine functioning successfully without their constant involvement and approval. The dependency creation begins with subtle undermining of your confidence in your own judgment and capabilities. They accomplish this through a combination of highlighting your mistakes while minimizing your successes, expressing doubt about your decision-making abilities in front of others, and sharing stories about people who made similar choices to yours and experienced terrible outcomes. Over time, these constant microaggressions against your self-confidence create genuine uncertainty about your ability to navigate life's challenges independently. Their fear-driven manipulation also involves positioning themselves as the sole source of accurate information, reliable guidance, and emotional security in your life. They systematically undermine your trust in other people's advice by highlighting instances where friends or family members gave you guidance that didn't work out perfectly, while conveniently forgetting the times when their own suggestions led to problems or disappointments. They want you to believe that they alone truly understand your needs, your potential, and the best path forward for your life. The dependency manipulation extends to practical matters as well as emotional ones. They might gradually take over responsibilities that you're perfectly capable of handling independently, from managing your finances, to maintaining your social calendar, to making decisions about your living situation. They frame this increasing involvement as evidence of their caring nature and their desire to make your life easier. But the true purpose is to create situations where you genuinely need their continued involvement to function normally. The most insidious aspect of their dependency creation is how they manufacture problems they can solve, creating artificial crises that require their intervention and expertise. They might sabotage your other relationships through subtle manipulation and gossip, create professional difficulties by undermining your confidence or spreading doubt about your capabilities, or generate financial stress through expensive shared ventures that increase your reliance on their resources and support. Their fear of irrelevance also drives them to systematically isolate you from alternative sources of support, guidance, and validation. They accomplish this through a combination of direct criticism of your other relationships and indirect manipulation that makes spending time with others increasingly difficult or unpleasant. They might schedule important conversations or activities during times when you've planned to see friends, create emergencies that require your immediate attention whenever you're enjoying independence, or express hurt and disappointment when you seek advice or support from people other than them. The ultimate goal of their dependency manipulation is to create a psychological prison where you cannot imagine surviving or thriving without their constant presence and involvement in your life. They want you to believe that leaving them would mean losing not just their love and support, but also your primary source of guidance, security, and connection to the world. By the time you recognize the extent of the dependency they've created, the prospect of rebuilding your confidence, independence, and support systems can seem overwhelming and impossible, keeping you trapped in their manipulative web indefinitely. The 12 manipulation tactics we've explored today reveal a disturbing pattern that extends far beyond simple personality quirks or astrological tendencies. What we've uncovered is a systematic approach to psychological control that operates so seamlessly, so convincingly, that millions of people around the world are currently experiencing these behaviors without recognizing them as manipulation. The combination of charismatic deception, artificial urgency, victim playing, protective control, competitive domination, reputation exploitation, conflict creation, leadership abuse, guilt weaponization, impatience pressure, loyalty manipulation, and dependency creation forms a comprehensive toolkit for psychological warfare disguised as love, friendship, and support. Understanding these patterns is the first crucial step toward protecting yourself and your loved ones from becoming victims of Aries manipulation. Knowledge truly is power when it comes to recognizing the subtle signs that someone is attempting to control your thoughts, feelings, and decisions for their own benefit rather than your well-being. The key lies in trusting your instincts when something feels wrong, even if you can't immediately identify why a relationship feels draining or uncomfortable, despite the other person's apparent charm and concern for your welfare. Pay attention to the patterns rather than isolated incidents. One instance of rushing you into a decision might be genuine urgency, but a consistent pattern of manufactured time pressure indicates manipulation. A single moment of playing victim could be authentic vulnerability, but repeatedly transforming from aggressor to wounded party reveals calculated emotional manipulation. Notice when someone's protection feels more like control, when their leadership becomes domination, when their loyalty comes with strings attached, and when their love seems conditional upon your compliance with their expectations. The most important thing to remember is that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, genuine support for each other's growth and independence, and honest communication that doesn't require walking on eggshells or constant self-censorship. People who truly care about your well-being want you to make thoughtful decisions that serve your long-term happiness, even if those choices don't immediately benefit them. They celebrate your successes without trying to diminish them, support your relationships with others without creating drama or conflict, and respect your boundaries without making you feel guilty for having them. If you recognized multiple manipulation tactics in someone you know, remember that breaking free from psychological control often requires professional support, trusted friends or family members who can provide perspective and time to rebuild your confidence and independence. The dependency and emotional confusion created by skilled manipulators doesn't disappear overnight, but with awareness and support, you can reclaim your autonomy and build healthier relationships based on genuine connection rather than control. Your experiences with Aries manipulation are valuable not just for your own healing, but for helping others recognize these patterns in their own relationships. By sharing your story and supporting others who are navigating similar situations, you become part of the solution to a problem that affects countless people who deserve better than psychological manipulation disguised as love. If this video has opened your eyes to manipulation tactics you've experienced or helped you understand confusing relationship dynamics in your life, please subscribe to Secret of the Zodiac and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest revelations about the hidden truths behind every zodiac sign. We're committed to bringing you daily content that exposes the shadow sides of astrology that other channels won't dare to discuss. But creating this level of detailed, researched content requires significant time and resources. Give this video a thumbs up if it helped you recognize manipulation patterns. And please take a moment to explore our other videos where we reveal the dark secrets of all 12 zodiac signs. Your engagement helps us reach more people who need to understand these psychological dynamics, and every like, comment, and subscription makes a real difference in our ability to continue this important work. Most importantly, we need your help in the comments section. Share your own experiences with Aries manipulation. Which of these 12 tactics surprised you the most? Have you encountered someone who used multiple manipulation strategies? What warning signs do you wish you had recognized earlier? Your stories and insights could help other viewers identify manipulation in their own lives and feel less alone in their experiences. If you found real value in our content and want to support our mission of revealing astrological truths that can genuinely help people protect themselves from psychological manipulation, please consider contributing through Super Thanks. These financial contributions help us cover the substantial costs of research, content creation, and daily video production that allows us to bring you this level of detailed analysis every single day. Your support through Super Thanks makes it possible for us to continue exposing these important truths and helping people build healthier, more authentic relationships. Every contribution, no matter the size, directly supports our ability to create more content that could change someone's life by helping them recognize and escape from manipulative relationships.